There could be trouble ahead for the president's agenda as Republicans secure a majority in the House for the next Congress. Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who is vying to become House Speaker, is signaling that the party plans to launch multiple investigations into the Biden administration, including the handling of international affairs, immigration, COVID-19, and even Biden's son, Hunter. Here for more analysis is Sophia Cai. She's a national politics reporter for Axios. Sophia, I mentioned all of these investigations. Is that what we can expect as the legislative priorities for the new GOP House majority, or do they have others?
So remember, Democrats still retain control of the Senate. And so one of the only tools that Republicans in the House can use is their oversight and investigative power. And there's really a lot of pent up, frustration among the GOP. So yesterday we heard from the top Republican on oversight and on judiciary, and they are wasting no time with their, evidence gathering. And they have said that they are going to push for bank records for Hunter Biden and other Biden family members.
We said that there's trouble ahead for President Biden's agenda, but I wonder if there's also trouble ahead for the GOP agenda in the House. I mean, how united or fractured is this caucus? And is Kevin McCarthy going to be spending more time trying to get everybody on the same page?
Yeah, I think what we see now is a pretty, all over the place GOP House. You've got Kevin McCarthy, who will likely become Speaker, but he still has to whip together enough votes in January. And we saw this week that he is 30 votes short. And what that means for his agenda is, if he wants to get a majority vote on anything, he will have to get just about all of his caucus together, which is a caucus that includes a growing Freedom Caucus, this right-wing part of the party, as well as more moderate Republicans. So Republicans picked up a number of seats in Biden districts, including in places like New York and in California. And so you will see that those Biden district Republicans are coming at this with very different priorities than those of the Freedom Caucus. And yesterday I spoke with a number of these Biden district Republicans who showed up to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's retirement speech, and they were there. They were some of the only Republicans there. And, they were telling me that they don't want to see their House leadership start with more extreme and political things such as impeachment. They want to focus on the economy. They want to focus on issues like crime. So that's, sort of where the rubber meets the road here.
I wonder, though, when you talk about the Freedom Caucus, there's not a lot of them, but they are loud and they're great fundraisers. And so I wonder if Kevin McCarthy, whoever ends up being the Speaker, is going to find themselves having to lean in to these Freedom Caucus people. And what we will end up seeing is a much more overall conservative GOP party in the House.
I think it's true that Kevin McCarthy will have to sort of listen and potentially give some resources, including oversight resources. And what that means in practice is potentially, committee assignments for Freedom Caucus members, letting them use committee resources like, letterhead from the committee to send out letters requesting documents. And it just gives their individual agendas some more legitimacy. But I don't know if it's true that you'll see the entire party become more conservative. We'll just sort of have to see how these individual committees who have their own agendas sort of shape out in terms of how they pursue their investigations, how many letters requesting documents they'll send out, how many subpoenas they'll send out. And, within that bucket, how many they will be really serious about enforcing. So just because, there's letters and subpoenas, it may be sort of a messaging tactic, to what extent they are really serious about enforcement, which again, take, more resources is another question.
Sophia, there's one word that keeps coming to mind here, and that's gridlock. Is there any hope that we see bipartisanship, or will this be something where we've seen perhaps the Biden administration take 2 steps forward with his domestic agenda, and now it will be 2 steps back, and we've gotten nowhere?
I it's going to be two steps back because the White House will now be very focused on implementation, as they respond to the onslaught of inquiry from the GOP House and, implementation of the Inflation Reduction Act, implementation of chips, which they argue has led to this huge manufacturing boom. And, on the other hand, Republicans don't really have a path forward in terms of passing legislation because they don't have control of the Senate. Right. They don't have control of the White House. So I think the Biden administration will try as best they can to keep moving forward with implementation in these next few years as the Republican Party sort of does its thing in the House.
Sophia Kai, great talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks.